Hey, you ever want to play your favorite anime character in a tabletop RPG and the system would, kind of let you do it, but not really? Well, then you should play Worlds of Myth. Welcome to MythTube, where we build your favorite anime characters in Worlds of Myth. What is Worlds of Myth, you may ask? Well, Myth is a tabletop RPG that I designed to allow you to build the over-the-top characters you only find in shonen battle anime. Characters like Naruto, Deku, Meliodas, and Ken Kaneki are all examples of characters this game can easily let you build. The game is in late beta right now, so you can head on over to worldsofmyth.net and download a free PDF, and you can also download a variety of other supplements. Yeah, for free. My goal is to spread awareness of the game before its official launch, and I want as many of you as possible to have fun playing it. You can also head on over to our Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth, where you can talk all things about the game, find a group to play with, or check out some of the other games we're testing. But without further ado, let's talk about who we're building today. So today we're kicking things off by building a main character from the big three, Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach. Bleach was one of my favorite shows. I know that it has a lot of flaws. I'm not defending those, but I still find myself going back and rewatching a lot of these fights. So before we kick things off, let's define which version of Ichigo we are actually building. We are not going to be building Dangai Ichigo, since that was a one-time thing, and we're also not going to be building the final form of Ichigo from the last arc, since that hasn't made it to animation yet, and this channel is going to be an anime-only channel. The Ichigo we'll be building is restored Ichigo from the end of the series, who seems to have the same power level he had when he fought against Ulquiorra and Gin. In Myth, there are roughly 6 tiers of power, with 5 levels between each, which will help us decide where this version of Ichigo should go. In Tier 1, or levels 1 through 5, is where you'd probably find Ichigo and his friends on the beginning of their journey. This is also where I'd put most of the nameless Shinigami soldiers. Tier 2, or levels 6 through 10, is for characters important enough to have a release date, and probably where I'd also put the Gate Guardians. Like those really big guys that guard the gates. Kind of forgot about them. Anyway, they're really big and impressive, but not really all that strong compared to the other characters in the show. Tier 3 is where I'd put your vice captains who haven't achieved Bankai yet, and other similarly powerful characters. And Tier 4 is where most of the captains are going to be sitting. Tier 5 is where I'd put the Espada, and probably a good number of the captains after they train for the war arc. And then finally, Tier 6, or levels 26 through 30, is where characters like Aizen and Yamamoto would be. Those characters that are sitting just on the threshold of godhood. Since Ichigo took down 2 Espada members at this power level, I'd estimate him to be at the top of Tier 5, so we'll be building him as a level 25 character. So you roughly know what's going on. Each level gives some extra HP, some extra myth or magic energy, an extra stat point that we can put anywhere we want, and most importantly 5 upgrade points, which is our currency for picking up almost everything. Some levels will give us more than 5 upgrade points, and the race we choose will also give us lots of extra bonuses as we level up. So let's take a look at the character and figure out what our goals are. Ichigo is a human who can turn into a Shinigami, but he is also part hollow. In his Shinigami form, he gets a big-ass sword, has super strength, super speed, can fly, and has a shit ton of spiritual energy. Or magic. He's really known for it. Well, he's not a big thinker, he's also not stupid, and has been shown to learn opponents' attack patterns and form strategies in the past. His Shinigami powers allow him to borderline teleport with Shunpo, and he can also shoot blade beams using his signature Getsuga Tensha! And I'm going to be saying that for the rest of this video. These beams can be both in a wide cone shot and a long-range slice. When Ichigo decides to get serious, he goes into his famous Bankai! Also gonna say it like that for the rest of this video. In this form, he's way faster, gets a power boost in all other areas, and can fire off black Getsuga Tanchas! He can also put on a hollow mask to boost his stats to even more crazy levels, and when stuff gets really tough, he can go into his full hollow form, also known as the Vastro Lorde form, which is cool as shit. In this form, he has crazy physical abilities and can fire off ridiculously powerful Seros. So how are we going to build him? Well, Ichigo is technically a human, so let's start by building him as an ordinary, boring human. For his starter stats, we get 17 points to divvy out how we want, and we'll go for the classic shonen protagonist spread with 4 speed, 4 power, 4 skill, 1 cunning, and 4 heart. I know this is the first video, but you're going to see that spread a lot. Again, Ichigo's not dumb necessarily, he more just willfully chooses not to think a lot, but we'll get that cunning up a bit later. For our level 1 human bonuses, we get +2 upgrade points and 4 gene slots to play with. For our spell school list, we get Vitamancy for free, then we get to pick an elemental school and a spiritual school, and then we get 10 schools that we kinda just get to pick, or can convert those into spell affinities, which can make it so that spells from certain schools cost less myth to cast. For our spiritual spell school, we get to choose between Holymancy and Shadowmancy. We'll go with Shadowmancy. I know that Ichigo is heroic or whatever, but he is literally a violent off-brand redhead teenage boy who cosplays as a samurai with a big-ass katana that you don't sheath but literally wrap in bandages. You are all the teen angst. We'll also go with Electromancy for our elemental spell school of choice. Ichigo's Getsukotancho doesn't seem to be associated with any element in particular, but I mean, they are blue and I'm not making him a water type. Ichigo's not a complicated guy in terms of his toolkit, so we'll shove 3 affinities into each of his main spell schools and then pick up Pyromancy since we'll need it for our scary Seros later. For talents, humans get 3 points to spend on those however they choose. We'll do Will to Live, level 2. You have a strong will to survive for your friends and stuff, and this will make it so whenever you run out of HP, you're on the floor and bleeding out and need to make a life-saving roll, you get +5 to that roll. You also get a flat +10 HP. For the last talent, we'll go ahead and give you Intimidation/Rage level 1. This makes it so that when you're bullying people with the threat of violence, you get +5 to that roll. For your level 1 kit, we've got 7 upgrade points to spend once you factor in the extra 2 upgrade bonus points from being human, and Ichigo is nothing without his magical transformation. So we'll pick up the transformation gene at level 2. This will give us a transformation that gives +3 to all of our stats and affords us 10 customization points, which can be spent like upgrade points but just for our form. Spoiler alert though, Ichigo pretty much doesn't fight unless he's in his special form, so the first thing we'll do is make sure he can always change into that form by picking up the customization mundane form. Normally we'd only be able to go into our special form once per day, but this makes it so we can go into our form as many times as we want, with the caveat that our form becomes our character sheet, and when we are not in it, we are just a plain, ordinary, boring human. But we also get an extra customization point, which are effectively just upgrade points at this point. For our mundane form, I'll give Ichigo all 3s in his not cool state just cause I'm lazy. We'll also pick up Transformation Key. Ichigo needs help to change into a Shinigami form either through Koan or through his soul badge. This represents that. This gives your transformation the handicap of needing a particular item in order to transform, but also compensates us with yet another free customization point. So if we just think of our customization points as upgrade points, we have a total of 13 at this point for level 1. Wow. We'll start off by spending 5 points to pick up the Large Blade level 5 so we can max out our sword skills since, well, in the first season, that's really all you use anyway. We also need to make you less human because you're not just a human anymore, you're kind of a death god, and angels are the most godly creatures in myths, so we'll give you the Nephilim gene. This grants you a set of wings which we will flavor as being invisible all the time, but they let us fly and give us a bunch of stats. We'll go with Great Wings because their stat bonuses suit Ichigo the most, giving you +2 power and +1 heart. We'll blow the remaining 6 upgrade points on Magical Might, which gives Ichigo a stack of Overcharge. Overcharge is a really powerful mechanic that acts as a gatekeeper between tiers, so most level 1 characters would never get this. Your stacks of Overcharge replenish during the beginning of each of your turns, and you can spend a stack in order to add +1 to hit and +20 damage to an attack. For context, the base damage of your mastered large blade weapon also deals 20 damage, so you're essentially stacking a sword on top of your sword with this, and you can do that once per turn. To top it off, Overcharge stacks also extend the range of ranged attacks by +50 feet per stack. Oh boy, that was a complicated start, but now we've got a bonkers powerful level 1 character, which suits Ichigo. He was always considered to be a monster in terms of power compared to his relative experience. Skipping forward in the build to level 5, at this point in the story you've become pretty good at slaying the monster of the week alongside your emo lolly, maybe friends, maybe more, Rukia. By this level you get a total of +20 HP, +40 myth, +4 stats. We'll go ahead and use those to add +2 power and skill, and another 21 upgrade points, which becomes 29 upgrade points once we add in all of our Humany bonuses. Your Humany bonuses also add +2 gene slots, which means we now have a total of 4 remaining. First off, Ichigo is not Ichigo without his Getsuga Tancho, which is pretty close to the only thing he can do. And during this time period was when he first started using it. To represent our Getsuga Tancho, we'll pick up the techniques Burst Strike level 1 and Extended Strike level 1. Burst Strike level 1 lets you shoot your melee attacks off in a 30-foot cone, which can become an 80-foot cone with overcharge and adds an extra plus 10 damage. Extended Strike level 1 lets you attack everything in a 120-foot line with an extra plus 3 damage. Both of these techniques require that you have an amplification spell active first, so we'll pick up Lightning Strike level 3, which for 10 myth adds plus 12 electric damage to all of your attacks until the end of your turn. You can also spend an extra plus 1 myth during an attack up to 3 times in order to add plus 2 more damage. For the rest of this tier, we're just going to focus on our stats. We'll start by maxing out our Nephilim gene at level 3 for another 2 upgrade points. That will give us plus 2 speed and skill and plus 1 power and heart. As a half angel, we also get access to Feathermancy, which we'll never use, and a spell school associated with our Angel's Covenant. You are a death god, so Angel of Death makes sense. That means you'll get access to Mortimancy, which again you'll never use, but that's okay. I'm also noticing that with a cunning of 4, Ichigo is getting dangerously close to being a thinking man, and we don't want that, not yet. So we're going to spend another 4 points to pick up Body Enhancement level 3, which will give us -1 cunning and plus 3 to all of the stats that let us chop things real good with our big sword. Next we're going to juice up our heart stat. Ichigo is a super passionate guy, but more importantly we want lots and lots of myth, or Ryatsu. So we'll get heart enhancement for 4 upgrade points. This will give us plus 5 heart and will increase our heart stat cap by plus 2. Next, we'll get Implanted Spell Crystal level 3 and we'll pick up Aeromancy with 2 affinities. But the real reason we're picking this up is for the extra plus 50 myth it gives us, and because we're going to want this thing already maxed once we get to epic levels.
Then we'll go ahead and pick up Spiritual level 5, which will give us yet another plus 50 myth.
We're also going to go ahead and pick up Two-Handed Fighting Style, which will give our sword plus 2 to hit, plus 2 to block, and plus 8 damage, which is a very juicy buff. We'll finish this tier off by picking up Grit, which increases our armor score by plus 5 so long as we're not using any armor type spells, which Ichigo never does, but he always still manages to be really tanky. Moving on to tier 2, by this point in the story you've gotten your ass handed to you by Byakuya. You did a training arc with Mr. Hat and Clogs, you and the boys, plus Orihime, busted into Soul Society, and you've managed to defeat the Gate Guardian and several low-level foot soldiers and survived an attack from Gin. Good job. By the time we hit level 10, we get an extra plus 25 HP, an extra plus 50 myth, plus 5 stat points. We'll go ahead and put one of those into power and the rest into skill, and then we'll get another stack of overcharge and another 27 points with an additional 10 more upgrade points, cause human. So right around this time, we get introduced to Hollow Ichigo for the first time. So we'll go ahead and pick up the Alter Ego gene at level 1. This gene allows us to spend 2 actions and 20 myth in order to go into a Berserk form that gives us plus 4 to all of our stats, but we are unable to distinguish friend from foe. When you activate this, you literally surrender control of your character over to your GM, so use with care. We'll also go ahead and pick up our Shunpo here. I don't think Ichigo really learned Shunpo at this stage, but I want to use the points on other things in later levels. So we'll go ahead and upgrade our dodge ability to level 5, and we'll pick up Windstep level 1. Windstep can be cast as a reaction or an action and gives you plus 3 to your dodge and plus 20 feet to our dash, which means that with our total dash when we successfully dodge an attack, we can just jump 35 feet, soon to be 40. Next, we're just going to go about maxing out our stats. Human stats cap at 15, but with our transformation permanently active, that effectively becomes 18 for Ichigo, and since he has heart enhancement, his heart caps at 20. So we'll go ahead and get improved speed level 6, improved skill level 1, improved power level 1, and improved heart level 6. That leaves us with 14 upgrade points left. We'll blow 5 of those on Durable level 5 for an extra 50 HP. Ichigo is a tanky kid who wins a lot of his fights only after taking a serious beating. We'll also start grabbing some techniques. We'll grab Focus Attack level 2, which takes 2 actions, but gives us plus 3 to hit, plus 5 damage, and lets us dash for free, and stacks with Getsuga Tancho! We'll also pick up Power Attack level 3, which gives us minus 5 to hit, but plus 10 damage, and throws opponents away from us an amount of feet equal to how much HP they lost, and also stacks with both Focus Attack and Burst Strike. So for 2 actions and 5 myth after affinities, you'll get -2 to your chance to hit, but a whopping +25 to your already insane normal damage in a 30-foot cone. That's pretty good. For our last 3 upgrade points, we'll pick up Partial Block level 3. It lets you spend a counter whenever you fail to block something in order to sorta block it anyway, but not really. Ichigo gets tossed around a bunch even when he blocks things. You can spend a counter that you have prepped after a failed block in order to add an amount of armor to your armor score equal to your power stat, which for you is 18. So long as you are willing to spend your passive on prepping a counter instead of dealing extra damage with Lightning Strike, you can reduce a ton of damage even when you're supposed to take it. By the time you get to level 15, you'll have defeated Ikaku and Renji, and you're getting ready to face off with Zaraki. At this level, we get an extra +25 HP, +50 myth, +1 stack of overcharge, and +5 more stats. There is literally nothing else to max at this point, so comically we have to put all 5 into Cunning, which kinda tracks, cause during these fights Ichigo had to do more thinking stuffs instead of just swinging stuffs. We also get another 28 upgrade points from regular leveling, and our Humany bonuses have chilled out a little bit, so we're only going to be getting an extra +5 from them. We're going to kick things off by getting even more smarts with improved Cunning level 2. This will let us meet that stat minimum for the growths Godly, Speed, and Efficient, which together will move us from only having 2 actions and a passive action to having 3 actions and a passive action. Nice! At this point, it's a good time to point out that sometimes in the middle of a fight, Ichigo just decides to be more powerful. A good way to represent this is with the spell's greater speed, power, skill, and heart all at level 3. For 1 measly passive action and 5 myth after affinities, these babies will give you +5 to their corresponding stat for the rest of the battle, along with a host of useful overcharge options. Next, we'll pick up Counter Expert level 3 so that you can make better use of your partial block. 3 times a day when you don't have a counter but want to use something that has to spend a counter anyway, you can just gift yourself a counter. We'll also pick up Last Stand level 3. This is your not yet move that you do when the enemy is walking away because you were clearly defeated, but nope, you're standing up now and you're more powerful this time. Once per day when you are incapacitated, you can just respawn on your turn with 20 health and +5 to all your stats from the major big dick energies you are putting off. We're going to finish this tier off by mastering Medium Blade so that Ichigo can use his newer, slimmer, sharper Bankai when he gets it. We're doing this here because I really don't want to spend epic upgrade points to do it. That's only going to cost us 2 upgrade points, and we'll save the last one so it flows over into level 16. Jumping right into our epic levels. By level 20 we get another +25 HP, another +50 myth, another stack of overcharge, and mercifully our stat caps go up by +5 so we can put our 5 stat points wherever we want. We're actually going to dump them all into skill. Ichigo gets really good at fighting by this point, and most of his godly running speed stuff only happens while he's in Bankai. For upgrade points we've got another 30 to work with, plus an extra 5 from human bonuses. First things first, we're going to need a Bankai, so let's get that Bankai with the ultimate spell Release Form level 2, and then leveling up our greater speed spell to its epic level of 4. Release Form takes 2 actions and a passive action to cast, but it gives you +5 to all of your stats, and greater speed still only takes that passive action to cast, but has been bumped up to a +7 speed, so if you spend your entire turn yelling Bankai with super cool music running in the background and lots of swirling effects, you can pop those 2 spells and get +5 to all of your stats except for your speed, which you will be rocking at a +12. Our Hollow Form is also going to get stronger and maybe come save us when we're losing to Rukia's big brother. So we're going to go ahead and level up Alter Ego to level 2. At this stage we're going to be getting a +6 to all of our stats when it's activated, and while we are still not in control of our character, our Alter Ego develops its own personality of being a psychotic, battle-crazed killer. But, maybe you won't kill your friends. Again, use with caution. It's also during this time that your Getsuga Tensho becomes a Black Getsuga Tensho. To do this, we're going to pick up Dark Strike at its epic level of 4. This nifty spell gives us +20 dark damage with an extra +5 if we have another amplification active. So just pop your Lightning Strike and your Dark Strike before launching your Getsuga Tensho for another +37 to 43 damage. And because Ichigo is an absolute unit with an absolutely devastating attack, we're going to up his overcharge by spending 6 upgrade points to level up Implanted Spell Crystal to level 4, and then another 5 upgrade points to get Overflowing Spirit up to give him an extra plus 2 stacks of overcharge. We'll also just go ahead and pick up Burst Strike and Extended Strike at level 2. That'll make our Burst Strike's base range 50-foot cone with a plus 15 damage, and our Extended Strike will now shoot in a 200-foot line with plus 3 offense and plus 5 damage. Keep in mind that with 6 stacks of overcharge, you could potentially add plus 6 offense, plus 120 damage, and plus 300 feet to these attacks. Pretty much like swing your sword and launch a nuke. And with our 2 final points, we might as well get the epic 6th level of Medium Blade. Swing your sword, Ichigo. Swing it good. So by this point in the show, you fought both Kenpachi and Byakuya, saved your emo pixie girlfriend, and have now returned to the human world to start chipping away at those hundreds of filler episodes before we get to the good part. This power level is where Ichigo sits for probably most of his anime career until Grimmjow shows up and kicks the shit out of you. Also around this time, you're probably thinking to yourself, you know, Rukia's cool and all, but in no way just has such big, round, thoughtful, intelligent eyes. But just before you can make the moves on her, some emo rock band leader with literal tear stains and his pet Chad that totally doesn't do steroids steals her, and now you have to go and, gather the whole team together and go on another journey to steal your girlfriend back. Damn it, Kubo. Hope this doesn't become a repeating pattern. But anywho, by the time you hit level 25, you'll have gained another plus 25 HP, plus 50 myth, and plus 1 overcharge. With your 5 stats and increased stat cap, we'll drop 2 points into skill, 2 into power, and the last one into heart. With our human bonuses, our total upgrade point pool will be 32 for this tier. And first thing we're going to do is get our Holification Mask. With Alter Ego level 3, our stat bonuses from the form jump up to plus 7, and we get to maintain full control while in this form. No more having to worry about if you're going to be a harm to your party members. Next, we have to get our badass Vastro Lorde form by picking up Release Form level 3. Release Form level 3 can only be activated while Release Form level 2 is already active. Takes 2 full actions and a passive to cast, but improves the bonuses to all stats from plus 5 to plus 10, and lets you use an extra stack of overcharge while you are in the form. That's 8 guys. 8 stacks. That's more than most max level characters. To represent our Ceros, we'll go ahead and pick up good old-fashioned Fireball level 6. By launching this sucker with 8 stacks of overcharge, you'll be dealing a whopping 188 damage before adding your heart stat or any amplifications, and the resulting blast radius will be 270 feet. That's 54 spaces on the board in all directions. But we still have 16 upgrade points to spend, so where do we put them? Well, the Vastro Lorde form, and sometimes honestly just Ichigo himself, quite frankly, seem to have a healing factor. So we'll go ahead and give them the spell regeneration level 6. By spending 1 passive action and 7 myth after affinities, you heal by 5d8 plus your heart, and you can regenerate lost limbs. You can also spend any number of extra myth after you roll to add plus 1 to the healing per extra myth point spent. This means you can literally go from death's door to totally fine in like half a second. Next, we'll pick up Two-Handed Fighting Style level 3 just because the bonuses to our sword are too good to pass up. And finally, we're just going to convert our remaining 7 points to stats, which means we'll be picking up Improved Speed level 8, Improved Skill level 4, and Improved Heart level 9. So how did we do? Well, Ichigo really got everything in his kit that makes Ichigo Ichigo. He's a massive stat stick that fires off blade beams really good. And when that's not working, he enters into his next form to be an even better stat stick that fires off blade beams even more good. Like, if you activate all of your buffs, meaning you go Bankai with Release Form level 2 and Greater Speed level 4, then you go Hollow Mask with Alter Ego level 3, then Vastro Lorde with Release Form level 3, then activate Greater Power, Skill, and Heart level 3, your stats are gonna look like this. To put that in context, that means that every time you make an attack with your sword, on top of the natural bonuses to hit something that the sword already has, which is plus 11 because it's level 6 with two-handed fighting style level 3, you get to add your skill stat of 45 for a grand total of 56 plus 1d20 to hit something. On top of that, if your maxed out Vaster Lorde form wants to launch a Black Getsuga Tensho with both your amps activated and spending all of your stacks of overcharge, you'd be launching an attack that looks like this. That's a cone that is 90 spaces at its widest and just as long. So yeah, I think we met our goals for making Ichigo feel overpowered. And that'll about end it for today, folks. Once again, if you want to try that game out, go ahead and head on over to worldsofmyth.net to download the current PDF and all other supplements for free. You can also come hang out with us on Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth to chat about the game and maybe find a group to play with. It'd also be great if you gave me a like and subscribe, as helping out this channel helps me put out the official release faster. And with that, my beautiful weebs, I will see you next time.